Captain Forest here, back with another death battle prediction video. It's been a while. Now, today's combatants, we've got Deku from My Hero Academia versus Spider-Man, aka Miles Morales in this case. Now, I kind of see why they went with this. Kind of makes more sense, and it's a little bit more close. People actually think that Miles completely stomps Deku. I'm kind of on the bench. I don't necessarily agree with that. It depends on what scaling you use and what you give to Miles. Now, let's talk about Deku. So I actually did a power scaling video many years ago, or many moons ago. Please check it out. It's still viable. The information is still solid, still valid even up to this day. But long story short, you can just easily scale Deku to, scale him above Primal Might, scale him to Stars and Stripes, and of course, I believe it's All For One, Shigaraki, when they had that fight, of course. So easily some multi-continental stuff, some FTL scaling as well, with the naval laser scaling. Characters can easily dodge that. That was pretty early in My Hero Academia, and some other laser timing feats. Now, pretty much in character, Deku, he likes to use his Detroit Smash and other variations of his attacks, like gathering kinetic energy into his fingers and flicking massive shockwave bullets. And of course, he does have other variations of certain things. He does have precognition, he does have the whip, the black whip, and just other quirks up his sleeve that he can use in battle. Now, let's talk about Miles. Now, Miles is a bit of a tricky one. Now, easily, right off the bat, you can scale Miles to a suppressed Spider-Man. I actually did a video on Peter Parker himself. So if you guys would like to check that out, I will leave a link in the description. But again, suppressed Spider-Man has tons of feats. Anywhere from the low-end stuff, scaling to characters who can completely, perform area effect attacks, for example, like Electro, like the electricity he's able to generate. The potency is enough to literally destroy a mountain. So there's mountain level stuff, there's island level stuff, like direct feats from Spider-Man himself tanking this stuff. You've got planetary arguments as well for the suppressed Spider-Man, but of course those are more high-end stuff. So you can easily use some finite scaling for Miles in terms of like scaling him to a suppressed Spider-Man, because they have fought and Miles has been able to hurt Peter when he's holding back. And of course, Miles does have various feats of fighting Rogue Gallery like Armadillo. He's fought other similar characters of that caliber. He's fought like Morbin, various other characters, other Rogue Gallery in Marvel. Now, I think the most impressive part about Miles is his Venom Shock. Now, the Venom Shock is actually pretty potent. Now, there's a feat of pretty much him using the Venom Shock on Kid Nova. And Kid Nova is actually a hero tier, and Kid Nova has feats of hurting Captain Marvel. There was one point he was above his own father, Nova, and him and Nova were able to combine their own energies in order to charge up a cosmic cube. That's like creation level scaling right there. And it's just been shown multiple times that whenever Miles is in a dangerous situation where his physical AP isn't enough, the Venom Shock makes the difference. It's able to hurt people, and it depends on the potency and how, like the intent and how much he tries to apply to take out an opponent. But if he's really trying to take out his opponents with the Venom Shock, then it's very dangerous. It literally one-shots. So now that I've talked about those things, of course, Miles does have all the other Spider-Man traits of precognition, webs, he has invisibility, Now, I don't think the invisibility aspect will be too important, because I don't think Deku would get finessed by things like that. And of course, when it comes to like the Venom Shock, he can perform like massive AoE attacks. Now, what about speed? So easily like suppress speed scaling. Again, FTL stuff. There's some, higher calcs you can use for FTL. And when it comes to like the speed scaling, if you want to use like higher end stuff, then he's easily, finite stuff like MFTL plus, or you can get him higher. But personally, I don't think he's that fast. That's just my opinion. But if you use high end stuff, you do the same thing for Deku. Now that I've talked about both those things, I'm going to pretty much go over who I think wins more often than not in this situation, and who I think Death Battle will have, Death Battle will have winning in this Death Battle, and who they will lean more to, more often than not towards winning this Death Battle. So personally, this one is very, very close. I'm actually quite torn, because this could go either way. Depending on what scaling you use for both combatants, Deku can definitely take out Miles with a Detroit Smash. It could definitely take him out. But I think Deku would have to be very careful. The biggest advantage that Miles has is the Venom Shock. I don't care what no one says. If that Venom Shock hits Deku is literally cooked. He's done for. There's nothing he can do against the the Venom Shock. The Venom Shock is that busted. It's very powerful. And I do have the Venom Shock at those tiers of scaling. It definitely eclipses Deku. Deku's not taking any of it. But what about speed? You can make an argument that they're pretty relative. If you just use finite speed stuff like the FTL stuff, which I think is pretty comfortable. Now, I don't really see anyone blitzing each other per se. If you stick with the FTL ballpark, I don't want to crunch the numbers down too much, but personally I think they're kind of relative in that degree. Now, as for personally my opinion, I'm going to lean with Deku on this one, because I like Deku. I think Deku's going to win this. But if we're going down the comic book route, I mean, Spider-Man, Miles would win this more often than not if he does get the electric, the Venom Shock off, especially with the AoE, and they are relative in speed. So it literally comes down to who gets the hit in first. It's a big toss-up, man. But as for Death Battle, I feel they're going to lean with Deku. I think they're going to give Deku the W, because I think Marvel's taken too many dubs recently, or some Owls as well, because obviously you had the Ghost Rider and Spawn situation. But regardless, personally, very close. I'm very torn on this one. I could just be a Marvel fanboy and just lean with Miles, but I definitely could see Deku winning this. It's not out of the ballpark for him. It's a very close match. And again, it all comes down to what scaling you use. You use high-end stuff, Miles pretty much claps. But if you just use the standard, consistent stuff, Deku more than likely takes victory, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to go with Deku on this one. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Who do you think wins more often than not in a Death Battle situation? But anyway, Captain Forrest, signing out. Peace.